total amount of stone on this project is over 1 million pounds of rock. That one definitely is a Shaq size rock. That is gonna be perfect. Hey, what's up everybody? At the Pond Professor here. You can see where I'm at. I am back at Shaq's and we are ready for a ton of work. Last time I was here, it started pouring rain on us. We were trying to wrap things up and of course, starts pouring rain, turns everything into muck and mud. The machines are slipping all over the place. We're trying to wrap up. We're covered in mud and heading back to Chicago, changing at the Atlanta airport, but we got everything done that we needed to. So that was my main goal. I'm like, we have to get to a certain point in order to make this project work. So we had to get the infrastructure done. We had to get the liner in place, but before we got the liner in place, we had to do the sub-liner drainage system. We had a massive hole in the ground. We had all of this groundwater making the soupy, mushy mess on the bottom. We had to drain that stuff out, pull all that sludge out. Then we had to put in a drainage system that was going to alleviate the pressure from building up underneath the liner. You see me talk about this many times. Anytime I'm doing a recreational pond or a large scale pond like this, I have to be thinking about groundwater, and this one has a lot of it. So multiple pipe systems underground to alleviate that groundwater, and unfortunately because of all the rain we got, it actually became a little bit overwhelmed and sedimented some stuff up. So we're gonna have to fix things a little bit. I was walking down in the bottom. We're gonna pull the liner back. There is still a little bit of water underneath, and that's because we don't have all the rocks on top. So I want to pull all that groundwater out, put everything back in place, and then the team is going to arrive tomorrow morning and we're going to start setting many hundreds of tons of stone like that. We're going to have 3 different teams of people working in different areas around the project so we can complete the intake bay, we can get the wetland done, we can get everything ready for the team at Court Dreams that is going to be doing that incredible putting greens and the chip shots and all that really cool stuff, which is going to take this project over the top. 2 weeks ago, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was hand picking 90 pallets of this incredible sandstone. This is absolutely beautiful material, and we wanted to go above and beyond for Shaq. I love going to the stone yard. We are hand picking boulders. This is actually the small ones over here. We're grabbing some of the bigger stuff, but you can see just this beautiful area where all these rocks are coming out of. Absolutely spectacular. Amazing piece of sandstone here. This rock is 8-9 feet long. That one definitely is a Shaq size rock. That is going to be perfect. So we are just grabbing all big giant rows of them. So we got 84 pallets that we're picking right now. We already had some pallets already delivered on site, and then we also have some bulk material coming in for the project as well. Beautiful sandstone. So we are right here at the cliff face. They're pulling a lot of these rocks out. Just spectacular. Just to see the natural beauty. I just love exploring all this natural stuff. But look at how all these layers are just fractured. And again, this is that power of that freeze thaw. So all the sedimentary rock comes down in different layers. You're gonna have softer layers and then harder stuff. And some of those softer layers erode out. And then what happens is they get undermined and big pieces break off. You get ice buildup inside of those and stuff fractures and falls. And then you get these big overhangs. Can be kind of dangerous. I mean, look at this. You got trees actually growing out of some of these different crevices. It's super cool. Love checking this out and getting inspiration for Shaq's project. And just look at this. I mean, this is just natural rubble coming down from the cliff sides. Pieces break off, fall down in here. They just get jammed up in these little ravines and water just percolates through it all and it is just covered. And I mean covered in mosses. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, look at that big old tree coming across, hitting right into the water, and it just vaporizes that stuff. Splashing, covering this entire hillside with water vapor, and all that water is just dripping through all those different mosses. You have to go to the site. You have to pick out the rocks, but what this does from a design standpoint makes our job a lot easier once we're in the field, because I know we have specific rocks for specific areas. Large giant chunks like this, which are going to be used in and around the waterfall, as well as around that massive peninsula that's jutting into the middle of the pond, which is going to set the stage for that beautiful putting green for from Court Dreams. All of this rock was set up by the incredible team over at Superior Irrigation and Landscape Supply. So they came through, they made sure that we had everything that we needed, plus we had all the other deliveries, the river rocks for our wetland filter, the material for the backfill, as well as more of those big cobblestones for fitting in between and filling in between all those different joints. The total amount of stone on this project is over 1 million pounds of rock. So by the time the team gets here tomorrow, the rest of the heavy equipment will arrive. We're gonna start slinging some rock. We hit the ground running. We got teams doing all types of stuff. First course of action, pull the liner back, get the water out that was building up underneath the liner. Remember, we put all that drainage system in place, but because we don't have enough ballast on top, we don't have enough rock and gravel and water, it's not forcing it all the way into the piping system. So we had to help it out a little bit. Next thing we wanted to do, get that wetland taken care of. We have more 3-inch rock coming in. We're leveling everything off at the appropriate elevation. Now we're gonna shuffle over to the 3/4 inch. Remember, with the wetland filter system, multiple layers of filtration. Fast moving water comes in the bottom. Layer of AquaBlox for sedimentation. Large river rock to allow high flow rate of water. On top of that 3/4 inch river rock, that's going to be planted up with all the different aquatic vegetation, which is going to take this project over the top. So our next step, once this wetland is taken care of, is to shift gears and come on over to this section. We already had the team finish building our AquaBlox. On this section, the AquaBlox are going to be used as a pre-filtration system. This is our intake bay. It's going to allow all the water to flow through the AquaBlox. It's going to remove all the leaf debris. So look at all the stuff that we have around here. I'm always thinking about the load of stuff coming in from fish waste. It's going to be organic materials and things like that. We want to try to remove that. The customized skimmer system, or an intake bay is what we're calling it. And that's going to allow all the water to come into one section. That debris is going to accumulate, then we can periodically remove it. If it's left unchecked, thousands and thousands of pounds of leaves are going to come into the system. They're going to decompose, which will cause bad water quality. Intake bay, wetland, they both work together. If you only do one, you're not going to get the desired result. First 4 hours are down and we are making incredible progress. We finished off all the gravel in the wetland. Now we're shifting over, thankfully, to my favorite part. We're starting to set those boulders in place. We have teams of people that are shuffling the rock. We have other guys that are putting the straps on. We have a few team leaders that have the vision of everything, and we're starting to assemble this incredible feature. It's gonna be a juggling act to make all these pieces come together. Definitely chaotic now, and it's gonna start getting tighter and tighter and tighter, because once we start setting all these different edges, we could have people that are starting to finish things up. So once those ledges are done all the way above the water level, we can start backfilling, we can start cutting away the liner, systematically working our way around the pond. What we're working on right now, we're setting in a massive slab of stone. This is gonna try to frame out the edge of the putting green that Court Dreams is gonna be doing, and it's also gonna be a good visual point from the main house. We're trying to set up a series of different layers. I like to have some very large rocks in the foreground because it makes the stuff in the background look even that much larger. So it's like, it's all a forced perspective when you have something huge right in front of you, and then it kind of tapers off in the back. So coming in with this big area, it's gonna be a nice standing rock adjacent to the putting green. It's also going to frame everything out for the viewing area for the main waterfall. So the struggle right now is we have to set this up so it's going to be level as well as structurally sound. So we're trying to set everything up to have a base for this big rock. The majority of the stone is going to be sitting on the soil itself, so we need a couple kickstands up in the front, which are basically going to support that front edge. I didn't want to do a massive rock wall because we're trying to create that illusion of this big rock outcropping that's kind of going out and jutting out over the water. It is day 2 at Shaq 2.0, and yesterday was phenomenal. Perfect weather. Everybody came into town. CAC's coming up from around the world, coming to Atlanta area to do this incredible project. We made some incredible progress. We set over 175 tons of material yesterday. We stayed focused. We got everything done that we needed to. I'm gonna jump down in the bottom, pump all the water out from that deep area today so we could pull the lining back a little bit more, and we have to finish all the rock in the deep zone. We have to do that because we have rock down in this bottom layer. We're setting rocks up on the very top edge, but there's a zone in between between where there is no stonework. That can be dangerous. Once we get all that rock down in the bottom, it could actually pull and stretch the liner. So what I want to do is make sure that we alleviate all that tension. So we have to shift gears right now. It's going to set us back a little bit, but in the long run, it'll definitely work.
This is the first problem of the day. Of course, we're 8 in the morning. So yesterday, as we were driving back and forth over this liner, we're actually at water level right here. But now we have big ruts from the machines. We were going to try to lift this up and put the dirt back in here, but the liner is too taut to lift up.
A few things that have kind of caused this to occur. Bringing in machines that weigh over 20,000 pounds. Not only that, but we had rocks that weigh 6,000, 7,000 pounds. So now you have an excavator that weighs 20,000+ pounds with a big giant rock hanging off the front. That rock was so big, the excavator was tilting. All the pressure was on the front of the tracks. It compressed the soil underneath here 6 inches or so now below where it used to be. Normally not an issue, but with this polypropylene liner, this material does not stretch. Doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but if it becomes too tight over time, it could actually rupture it. We're gonna have to actually cut this, which is not what I wanted to do. So we're gonna make a slit down the middle. We're gonna peel everything back. We're gonna recompact the soil underneath there to get it to the appropriate elevation to make sure that we have a leak-free water feature.
All business is fixing problems.
What I love about designing and building water features is overcoming problems and coming up with creative solutions. We're always looking at the science, the technology, the engineering, the art, and the math of construction. What we're doing right now is we have to do a little bit of an engineering challenge in front of us. We have to get a large boulder out in front of where the wetland enters the main pond. The problem is we don't have a machine big enough to reach out far enough to be able to set that boulder. We're gonna make a ramp down the beach area that we built inside of the wetland. We're gonna drive a mini excavator down inside of the wetland, sitting on top of the AquaBlox. Now remember, these AquaBlox are made out of polypropylene. I could snap the panel in half, but it's all about compression. It's all about the design of the system itself. We're gonna definitely be putting this one to the test. So we got a lot of big milestones that have just come to happen here for us. Water's coming into the bottom of the pond, which is great. Finished all the boulder work on the bottom. Now what we did is we started working on the waterfall. So we're starting to figure out the different layers, trying to look at the main viewing area from the house, as well as when Shaq comes driving in. We want to have as much impact as possible. So we're trying to get that waterfall twist and turn in specific ways to bring that waterfall into view. But because of that, we had to pull the liner back and re-excavate the area, because when we started laying things out, we realized that cove that we originally dug was shifted over too far. Pull the liner in place, re-dig all that stuff out, put the liner back. We chose the specific rocks that we're gonna use for the waterfall. We're gonna look at the different viewing areas, make sure everything looks good. Then we'll start reassembling all that big jigsaw puzzle of that waterfall.
Start of day 3, absolutely blown away by the camaraderie, the team. I knew it would happen, but to actually see it in person, it's kind of even humbling to see all these guys that have volunteered their time to come here. They're the best in the world, and it shows. We have moved over 600,000 pounds of material from point A to point B. Every one of them intricately placed, just absolutely fun. We are starting day 3. Day 4 is gonna be the final push, and then day 5 is gonna be, we're gonna be running on fumes, but it's gonna be all of the finishing touches. Total A team that we have working at Shaq's.
Behind me, this is a huge milestone. We are working on the waterfall. The main thing is we want to have a nice, really wide waterfall. We're using 4 of our SLD pumps, 5,000 to 9,000 GPH pumps. We should be getting between 25 and 28,000 gallons of water per hour over that waterfall, which is going to allow us to create a 6-foot wide waterfall. It's exactly what we need for a guy like Shaq, especially since the main home is several hundred feet away. It has to be wide enough, it has to have enough white water going over the waterfall to create the desired aesthetic effects. The last part today will be to do that upper pool area, which is going to start all the water. Once we have that upper pool taken care of, we'll be able to connect the piping that's coming all the way over from our intake bay, and it will feed the main waterfall as well as the wetland filter. Back behind me, you also see the team working on the beach area. That's going to be the main entry point. So as you come from the original pond we built down that beautiful little meandering pathway, it's going to bring you right to the edge of an incredible sand beach, which you're going to have views going all the way across the pond with that waterfall in the background. Check out all the tadpoles. These are all little toads. So when we were here 2 weeks ago, we started filling up water inside of this pond because we had to put weight inside of it. But water is the source of all life. As soon as you put water into a reservoir of some sort and it's held in place, wildlife is going to come, which is what I love about ecosystem ponds. It's just unbelievable how fast everything starts to populate the ecosystem. So again, this is starting and jump starting that entire ecosystem process, and as we fill more and more water into it, as well as get that wetland filtration system going, that's going to help to dial everything, and it's going to bring more and more stuff to this incredible property.
If it isn't Jason Duffney with Earthworks, what's going on, man?
Hey guys.
What do you got for us?
I got all the aquatic plants. Whole truck full. I couldn't bring my personal truck this time. The whole thing's full of boxes of aquatics. They're coming from middle Florida, central Florida.
Pickerel plants, all these plants are good. Lizard tail, some irises. How many total varieties do we get?
I think 12 or 13 varieties.
Okay, this is a recreation pond, but it is basically needs to be completely 100% aquatic landscape. And so all of these plants that we're putting in right now, they're just gonna help be part of the filtration system for this entire thing, and it's gonna look so much more aesthetic when it's done. So the last 10% is the details. Beautiful, beautiful plants. Thanks to Jason from Earthworks.
So we've been working pretty much all day today on putting together this waterfall. So now what happens when we set all that rock around the pond? That goes a lot faster because we have specific elevations in mind. We're just locking rocks together in one dimension. Now what we're doing in the waterfall, we have 3 dimensions. So we're going up, down, backwards, and then we have to frame all that stuff in, and we're thinking how the water is going to work its way in between all that stuff. So when we start doing that, we have to completely shift the way we think about things. So we're looking at all these different layers and how they're going to interact with each other. It's a very slow, tedious process. This is the art of water feature construction. Not to say there isn't a lot of art that goes into the pond construction as well, but it takes a lot longer once you start getting into the waterfalls and you're setting large boulders like this. It's not like you can just pick it up by hand and flip it around a couple times. You have to restrap the rock, you have to make sure it's safe, you have to twist it, turn it, look at it from all these different angles. Plus, with any type of construction like this, as soon as you set one rock, it's going to tell you what the rock next to it is going to do. So it's a chess match. We're thinking multiple moves ahead. So as soon as we make one change, there's a whole cascading effect. I hope you've enjoyed all this because I know I have. Anytime I get my hands dirty and I am solving problems, I'm having a good day. And on this project, we definitely had our share of problems. We had to reverse engineer stuff. We had to fix some existing problems. And hey, you know what? This is the real world stuff. They wanted a pond here. It didn't work, unfortunately, and it's because groundwater is present, but it wasn't at the right level. So if you have not checked out the prep work from earlier, from just the past couple weeks, definitely check that out because you can see all these different challenges, how we overcame them, and how we got to this point. Speaking of Shaq, he is currently on NBA final detail, so all that is happening. He is traveling coast to coast as usual, but the big man is coming back. And I tell you what, this pond has to be not only done, it has got to be looking incredible. So stay tuned because this is going to be one unbelievable transformation.